Road reconstruction is taking place near some metro zones in this quarter. So for around the congested sections.
And go past a giant turret in this sucker's bathroom.
Okay, dude.
Your brother's dead, DZ. Leonard? My brother Leonard? Big Lil? Oh, no. No, not Big L. I am so sorry, baby.
Truly, and what's worse, it appears that you have taken this news while sitting in a pile of your own excrement.
Yeah, hey. So what's going on? No, I'm not in the middle of doing anything. Yeah, well, of course I'm still up at this time. I gotta arrange for a few appointments that I got the other day. Yeah, it's more just more of the usual. But at least I'm getting some traffic in. Yeah, I'm sure you didn't decide to call me at this time just for a small conversation. I didn't take you for the one to be feeling that lonely. Well, actually, I am waiting on a few certain parts, though. I mean, what else can I really do other than just wait around until they finally get here? Yeah, actually, there's quite a bit to look over once all that stuff arrives. Yeah, I do remember the one you wanted me to put aside for you. Yeah, I'll just make sure to put that one aside and label that for you. Yeah, just make sure to pay me once we actually get to it. Yeah. I already know what it looks like. Is that it? Is there anything else that you decided you need to remind me at night? I mean, well, it's nothing new out here. Well, you already know why I ended up moving out here as soon as I did. It was starting to get too hot over there. And with someone like me who just tinkers with a bunch of stuff, it wouldn't do good for me to stick around any longer. I mean, an office would be really nice, but if I were to start upscaling, then I would end up getting attention that I could honestly just do without. Right, though here I can lay low as I've done before. It's not people like me that they're looking for. It's just a bunch of other idiots that are making it worse for everyone else. Yeah, hard to say how things will end up escalating, or maybe that was the, or maybe that would be the last of it for a good while now. I certainly don't mind being out here like this. Sorry, just more of the Pacific surveillance. No, they always have a bunch of drones just sitting out and about. Although fortunately I was able to get my hands on one of them. As if I would ever tell you how I got my hands on one. But if I can be able to breach it and make it work, then I could probably find some good use for it. Yeah, I know. Typically when one gets disconnected from its system, they just self-destruct. Well, not in that literal way, but what ends up happening with those is that those would internally fry themselves to avoid anyone else tampering with them. Because no matter where those things are, they're always sending out a signal. So you never know with these. Actually, yeah, I'm not too sure about that one. I've never seen one that actually was armed, but that doesn't seem to be impossible, since they're very capable flyers. I don't know what it is you wish to do with one, but you're talking to the wrong person to acquire one. This one here is just for more personal use. I'm not looking to stir up any trouble here. Everyone else around me is already suspicious of my appearance from my own hardware. Oh yeah, right. Before you go, there's one last thing. Just more of a reminder. For some of those clients that you've been sending over, you don't really have to worry about telling anyone else about my whereabouts. More importantly, the service. Right, because what I just look like on paper is that I'm just a private practitioner for any kind of cybernetics and augmentations. So there's really not much to worry about unless I'm looking to openly go down that route. I'd rather make it work doing it the cleaner way. That'll be it for me. Okay. Well, I'll see about getting back in touch tomorrow and see if that hardware of yours comes in early by chance. Man, this chair sucks. Yeah, I think tomorrow's gonna be pretty busy too. Someone at my door? I have to go tell them I don't do walk-ins. And at this time too. Okay, what is it that you want? Are you a client? Okay, well, are you looking to be a client? Okay, well, I don't do any walk-ins whatsoever, so you're gonna have to do it the proper way and either notify me through my site or do it through a phone call. Because this stuff is not as straightforward as anyone might imagine. I need the proper time to prepare in advance and also have a better idea of what I'll be dealing with. Well, quite frankly, I don't really care about your emergency. If it's really that urgent, then you have much bigger facilities with more staff that can handle that for you. Right. Hurt you. This is like serif level stuff. How do you have stuff like this? Okay. I'm not gonna question exactly where you came from or who you might be with, but I think I can make this one exception. But don't get me wrong, this is mostly so I can take a closer look at the hardware you have. I'll help you out with this thing, but next time you decide to come back, then you have to do it my way. I'm only allowing this because of the hardware you're carrying. Because quite frankly, this isn't like anything I've seen before. But to be honest, I can't exactly guarantee that I'm the most suited for this. But on the assumption of, well, how you look is that you already looked at other people and decided I was the best fit for it. Is this because you wanted to keep this thing under wraps? Something that you couldn't do officially? Doesn't really matter. I don't really think or expect you to be willing to just tell me all of that. But that's fine. But from that assumption, I don't really expect any unwarranted visitors coming my way because of your presence here. Oh, this will take a bit to set up for and diagnose whatever this thing might be. Okay, well, if you're able to pay up, then okay. I'll see about getting this started. But remember, this is the one single time for this exception. No more. Okay. And now with that, then just follow me and then I'll take you to my working space. Right, so let me just give you the rundown on this. So obviously from what you can, as you can figure out on your own, I don't have the special facilities that you'd expect from an actual established place. That's mostly because I just help save money that way, and also drawing less attention to myself. I'm not looking to be this huge name for when it comes to this field. It's mostly out of personal curiosity, and if I can help people through it, then I might as well. And the money's pretty good too. So anyway, yeah, I'll have my chair there in the back, and then I can hook you up. But before I do that, I have to prepare and set up so I can be able to interface with your systems. Right, well, I mean the process is bound to have some intrusions. That's the ultimatum of this tech. No other way around it. Anyway, this will definitely be a lot more cumbersome than usual. Again, for your spontaneous appearance, and it'll definitely take a while to fully. It'll take a while to understand the hardware you have. So yeah, let me get ready. You can sit right there and just wait a moment, and then I'll get right back at you, and then we can start with the process of hooking up. Now, well, with my time doing this, I've been able to find a relatively smooth process to get everything going. A lot of it's to the internals placed within this arm to make the whole process as easy as possible. Yeah, well, sometimes you do certain things to make yourself more efficient. I mean, through this, I already lost it anyway, so I figured I might make good use of it. Anyway, that's besides the point. Let's just get you there. Okay, I'll just have you stand over there for a moment, and then I'll see what we're working with. I first need to know, though, is exactly what is it that I'm trying to deal with here. Because it'll be difficult to figure out what to do next if I don't know what I'm dealing with and what I'm looking for. Okay. So you're acting up from what? Excessive trauma? Yeah, that can happen if you're thrown around a bit. You don't have to explain what happened. That doesn't matter. All I need to know is what is going on with it. I don't know, with what you have, it would seem like it'd be a lot more banged up, but it almost still looks nearly spotless. I mean, what kind of material are they even using for that thing? Okay. Well, from the looks of things, it seems initially when I receive this kind of complaint from other clients and patients of mine, sometimes all that's really needed is just a quick reboot and maybe a reconfiguration, and they're good to go. I can only hope that for your sakes it can be as simple and straightforward. But it can depend on different systems and brands and how they manufacture their, or whatever software they use for it. Depending if it's more for just casual use or, say, more performative tasks. Right, so for more civilian type models and tech, those will be the easiest and the safest, because the safe mode on those are very, very simple. Unlike something, say, more military, doing a reset might mean a whole reconfiguration. Yeah, if we have ones like, say, Azure, for example, when they make their things, people typically mistake it for being very high-end, but it's just more like their visual aesthetic makes it look a lot more expensive than it is. But the thing is, their main focus is accessibility. Because as fancy as it might look, it's actually extremely basic. And not like it's a bad thing, but the thing is that whenever something potentially could go wrong, all I need to do is reset it, and it's perfectly fine. But it's still, again, it's so basic that anyone can modify it if they really do wish so. And again, you modify it and something goes unexpectedly wrong, reset it again, and the safety mode on it is, well, one of the most safest. But again, because of its appearance sometimes, it can mislead people to thinking it's one that is just full of different features. In which case, not the feature is just, well, accessibility. Oh, anyway, enough of that. Okay, I do have an idea of what I'll do. So, yeah, hopefully this shouldn't take too long. But I'll have to see for myself. Yeah, surprisingly pretty easy to connect to. Although I don't mean it as in like there's, I don't mean to imply that there's a sort of security risk. Just that it's easiest to connect and interface with, which is certainly a good thing. Yeah, a lot of my own modifications are extremely custom. A lot of my stuff is from Cybrin. Right. Well, they're very easy to tell apart from the distinct look that they go for. But regardless, I found a lot of their stuff to be very convenient when it comes to doing maintenance and, well, like this stuff I'm doing right now. But yeah, somehow they're the only ones that also have the capability for stuff like this. Personally, one of my favorites that I've been able to tamper around with. But it makes doing certain tasks a lot easier. So when dealing with bigger hardware or, well, you see that big drone, it would be a lot harder to just work with and carry around if it wasn't for the extra arms. Right, well, yeah, I'll definitely have to take a bit of a closer look just to double check that I know what I'm basically confirm what I'm looking at. I mean, sure, the stuff they make looks rather intimidating, but it also works out pretty well when some of their more military grade stuff ends up being really useful for my own security. Because I tell you, everything I use for myself is all Cybrin. I mean, yeah, I've looked into more prominent ones like Seraph, which I swear your stuff looks like it's from Seraph, but the thing is, I've seen all kinds of different models and stuff, but never something quite like this. But yet there's a certain build quality that you only find with Seraph stuff. So I don't know. Because it could be that I'm just rambling about this stuff and you're just not telling me any details because either you're not allowed to or you just don't feel like it. Or maybe it's really unfortunate that you don't know either. Regardless, that's what I'm doing here to figure out. Because also with the level of these certain things means a body that can easily accept it too. Because I was aware of certain experiments where some really high-end stuff just refused to function with certain people, but it came down to individually from person to person on how well their body could adapt to intrusive cybernetics. So it looks like you're quite the special person when it comes to that. Though admittedly, it isn't your entire body that's been altered, but enough to where it really does count. Yeah, well, it's no surprise there. That's how you end up with some people that just get the wrong modifications and they end up becoming a few rampant monsters. Obviously, it's still being looked into with all different kinds of nicknames. But it is sad to see when it happens. That's partly why I do the stuff that I do. So there's been a few occasions where I was able to prevent someone from just losing their mind with how their body just was directly interfering with the compatibility of their own cybernetics. Because of course people want these certain augments when it comes to being better or stronger or whatever it is that they might look for, but if something like that goes unchecked from person to person, then it's not going to be looking all that pretty. Yeah, it's pretty scary. I'd say it makes it all that much more fascinating when there are individuals like you around that maybe we can find some answers to that if we were to find more people who have that compatibility or accept their body being augmented in certain ways. Although it looks like the stuff that you're equipped with is more, it looks like it was fitted on you for more practical reasons. I mean, that's nothing new. Sometimes having these things can actually save someone from a preemptive death. And of course there's the obvious fill-in for having the disabled being able to be fully self-sustainable as they used to be, and maybe even more depending on what kind of enhancement they get, and of course from what brand. Oh, yeah, I am making decent progress on this. But it's pretty much as I expected, actually. I'm just taking time to figure itself out, but the more I pick apart at it, it actually ends up being a lot simpler than I thought. Anyway. Yeah, I was doing a final check before fully solidifying the connection. And then I'll get you back on the chair, and then we can actually start for real. Yeah, as surprising as this is looking to be quite doable for me. So I'd say you can go ahead and be optimistic about me figuring this thing out for you. Okay. Okay, yep, let's get you on that chair, and then we can get started. Okay, there you are. There you are. Not feeling anything strange or weird aside from, well, as you already described. Okay. Okay. Yeah, But so far from what I can see, yeah. First I just want to see exactly what your hardware is performing at and how to navigate it, just so when I do the reboot and have to make any quick adjustments, I'll be able to know how to navigate it efficiently. I have to prepare for this kind of stuff, you know. And it'd be a shame to accidentally mess up any of that hardware you have. You know, I already said you don't really have to tell me this, but if you really want to, I can't stop you there. But I did wonder earlier, from that trauma, well, what exactly were you doing to put yourself in that situation? Because I can only guess that you're probably some operative under some corp or something. Again, that hardware, and you can't be from Seraph or anything because they're no longer around. Did you used to be an operative from Seraph or something? Security, maybe? I don't know. Because I have looked into a fair bit of that myself, but it's very hard digging around for info regarding its sudden just collapse. I don't know how that happens, but being one of the top and all of a sudden just crumbling under. Yeah, there hasn't been any other brand to hold a candle close to the level that Seraph was at. But I suppose in result of that, now you have quite a few. We definitely have more options than we had before. But these are mostly other companies just trying to fill in the gaps of the market that opened up. Right? So of course they'd want to jump right into that and find the most profit that they can find. Like the ones I mentioned, Azure became a thing because of the aftermath of that. Yeah, there was another newer one that just goes by Hachi, where for those who are going in an interesting direction of by making it as cheap as possible, but it's not the junk that gets pushed out from black markets. They wanted to make it really cheap and reliable, but of course that's going to be difficult when, say, a zero is already tapped in there. So they're going to appeal in some sort of different way. And over around here, where you have the Pacifia group, they've been getting quite a lot of momentum lately. Well, as you can tell from their surveillance, but them bleeding into the whole security market, there was just a lot for them to fill in there, and of course that meant a huge growth spurt for them. I was getting into just stuff that I just know or gotten to know over time. It might seem just a bunch of whatever, but with this particular field, I have to keep up with what's going on. With what's going on with these different these different big names and all these different models and all that stuff, then if I stop doing that now, then I'd easily go under within the month. Because how else can I keep up with the more newer stuff and know how to retrofit any other parts I find for maybe myself but for other people? Yeah, well, that's the thing. Obviously, a lot of people are looking for just longevity. Right? They buy something and they want to stick with it for as long as possible. Hopefully with that much hassle and everything. But then that opens up a new problem too that I have been personally looking into that somehow I haven't seen anyone do before. And I thought it would kind of be sort of up in the air for anyone to, just for the taking, really. You look at something like this and it's permanent. You're not getting that arm back. You can replace it. Or, well, you can replace it, but you can't replicate that. You can't truly replicate what was once there before. Admittedly, you can get pretty close, but nothing beats an actual, your own biological arm or limb or whatever it might be that gets swapped out, whether willingly or through necessity. And what I've been experimenting with, partly more in the upper arm area, but also for one of my legs is finding a way to make these sort of enhancements be not as intrusive. Because the thing is, with all this stuff going on and the whole, with all this stuff going on, people are more unsure about all these cybernetics and all these enhancements, augmentations. They're now more concerned about just adopting that tech for themselves. People are afraid to fully commit to that. People are becoming more afraid of committing to that kind of thing, to their own body. And it's really strange, the pushback that's happened, because as you know, as this certain technology was starting to gain momentum, a lot of people just dove straight into it, and a lot of people not really considering the potential risks of doing so. And then from there you had a bunch of people just regretting that move and some suffering really bad consequences. Alright, that was before we even realized that different people and different bodies can have all sorts of compatibility issues. But now, as of now, we have a much better understanding, and with over time now more and more specialists have emerged, just like myself, and even dedicated facilities for that when it comes to research and health. But it does make you wonder which way we'll go, if we're gonna go back to try to be more natural again, or just keep pushing it as far as we can with how much technology can replace parts of us. As for me, I've fully embraced it. Maybe not for my body and everything, but what it can do to but more like what it can offer to myself. And then through those improvements over time, well, it's only really made me better at helping other people out. Even if some of these things might get me a few weird looks and unwanted attention. But right, people just are looking for solutions that aren't as intrusive. But it's going to be difficult because you're essentially trying to reap the benefits of having cybernetics but at the same time still retaining all leaving your own body untouched. At that point, it's something akin to like an exoskeleton. But of course, some people are that desperate enough to try to think of something, but probably just don't have the proper resources to figure it out themselves. Right, meanwhile I do. And I'm just here just tinkering with it myself, and it's kind of worked, but it's still very cumbersome. But again, it's kind of in a gray area because is it really going to be like a sort of pseudo cybernetics, or is it just basically going to be like rewriting what exoskeletons are? Because, well, exoskeletons already do exist aplenty, and some exoskeletons are even quite intrusive, where they literally just go through your body. Say exoskeleton for better and stronger leg support. Well, be ready for a fat rod to just be sliding through your thighs and your calves. Just so I can stay connected that way. But of course, with the cybernetics, well, you just write off that whole leg and you reap much more than having the exoskeleton. But that means, of course, the loss of your original legs. It really just comes down to what the individual wants and is willing to sacrifice. But of course, some people are just too afraid to commit and sacrifice to achieve what they want. And they look for a much safer alternative, even if it ends up being a lot more inconvenient in the long run. Yeah, well, here I am just getting all like philosophical about this. But here I am just talking about the situation of what we're dealing with now. But the thing is, you can't exactly stop progress, can you? Well, someone had the influence to do something about it. Maybe. But again, now we're just in speculation territory now. Anyway, yeah, no, I wasn't just rambling for nothing. I'm just waiting for the reboot. Yeah, at the very moment your body will feel a lot heavier than usual, but it'll be fine. Once the reboot goes through, then I'll take another look, adjust the preset, and any other further touches that you personally are looking to adjust it as. I do have certain protocols in case something goes wrong, so I really don't need to worry about that. I'm just basically just waiting here. I made sure to do the safer route, which takes longer, but the thing is, I don't want to run the risk of your you know, your hardware's starting to overheat. The last thing I want to do is have you melted right in my chair. Right, if that were to happen, then I would have to essentially like do a full shutdown of your your entire body. And that could be really really troublesome. Yeah, I've had to do that before. Fortunately, only ever once, but that was because I don't know what that guy did, but just he was real good at meshing together a bunch of parts that just had no right being together. Somehow we made it work until, well, he was just going nuclear in my chair. He never came back, so I don't know what happened to him. Oh well, like that really matters to me anyway. Yeah, that would make sense. As much as I do talk about the cybernetics you have, of course you can't really say much about it since I really just can't find much on those. So you got yourself some pretty special ones. And yet you can't exactly go to proper experts to fix you up if you ever need to. How bizarre. Going to private specialists just to have them hopefully figure out how to work with the hardware you have. Well, it looks like. I don't know, I did find some weird things in there. Lots of very experimental stuff. What do you mean you didn't know that? What do you mean? You're telling me you have all this stuff on you, not even aware of their full function? But then you tell me you were a kind of operator before, right? But then what's up with that? Okay, well, bring up your interface and take a look at it. Because I'll go and cover that for you, since you apparently weren't aware of this. But through your interface, you have the whole overview with all your parts and your specs, everything, right? So there are a few certain highlighted things that I now listed out for you, because it looks like either your stuff was just one of a kind or it was a tiny batch that was produced whenever that was, or wherever. But the thing is, there's no serial number to be found whatsoever. And when it comes to the brand or anything, I don't know. I can only have guesses. But again, that's just a guess, and that doesn't really mean anything. So I don't know. You get to figure that out on your own. I mean, some of the stuff that's just hidden in there's pretty cool, but I just refrain from touching that. Just to, again, I'm doing this the safe way. If you really feel like it, once I'm done and you're out of here, then feel free to play with that as you want. Although I do have a concern about the energy about the energy consumption of what some of those things might behold if you decide to activate them yourself. Well, I mean, your system is already running at as optimally as it should have been. But the thing is, activating one of these things might throw that off and create an imbalance when it comes to not only the power but also the heat generated. As for compatibility with your body, I don't really see that as a concern, but just those two things I did list, at least keep that in mind whenever, if ever you decided to mess with one of those. Yeah, I guess you could counteract that with by disabling some other system and then basically creating a yeah, you could go with disabling some of your other systems to make sure that your body doesn't get overloaded. I mean, you do you. I'm just advising you I'm just advising you to just at least take it easy with your hardware. But again, if you really wanted to, you can come back here. But just make sure to actually make an appointment for it and everything. Because I really just despise dealing with walk-ins. I used to do those when I started out, but now I don't even bother with that anymore. Yeah, it looks like you're about ready to reboot. Yeah, after that you're basically good to go. Well, while you're still here, do you need me to do anything else or to check something? Okay. Yeah, that's valid. Sure, I can go over your sensors and everything. Are we talking for all of them? Yeah, okay. Are you looking to have them just check that they function? To optimize them a bit more? Or... Okay, I'll be... Yeah, I'll go adjust a few things while you reboot, and then I'll get back to you, and then we can... Yeah, get those specs straightened out. Okay, I'm going to get pretty close for this, okay? So just don't mind the closeness. This is just me personally getting real up and close just to make sure that everything is good. So I have to do this. Okay, so now that you did the reboot, try focusing your eyes right here. Yeah, they look too. Okay, eyes are looking good. does it for that. Okay. Try straining your eyes again. Okay. Now start looking. Start looking around me. Okay. Okay, your eyes are tracking that pretty well. Okay. So what about for your hearing? Nothing muffled or drowned out, I hope. Okay. That's good, okay. Eyes done, ears done. Smells fine, okay. As for your vocals are okay. I don't hear any difference. Do you have anything else that might be integrated in you that I don't know yet? Maybe like an implant for communication. You have one of those? Okay. Okay. I'm opening mine so you can try to connect to mine. Yeah, okay. It looks fine on my end. It looks okay it looks fine for how it should look like on your end then. Okay, that pretty much does it. What about sensory? Does everything still feel fine? Any part that feels maybe ticklish, sensitive, or uncomfortable? No? Okay. Yeah, just make sure everything is good to go too. Sorry to have trouble dealing with it. But yes, this is the final checks that I'm doing. issues with anything or anyone, that you instead you just on your own or something? Do you have like amnesia or something? No, you wouldn't know anything then. I don't think so. Oh well. Okay, now try lightly stimulating your body. Shift around your legs, your feet, your toes. I don't mean move them, stimulate them. Send a signal that you want movement. And have a gauge for the feedback. Then have a gauge for the feedback. Because if it feels tingly, or if it feels like there's a sort of fuzzy static, then that's something that I need to look at. I mean, yeah, I can't describe what it feels like, but if you feel it, you'll know. And okay, what about your arms? Stimulate your arms. The upper, the forearm, your wrist, your fingers, your shoulders, your chest. Well, I don't see any jumpy or jitteriness in your reaction. And you're not feeling anything peculiar or like what I described. Okay, good. Now what about your head? Does your head not feeling like discomfort, headache, or anything like that? No little sign of body dysmorphia or... Well, I wouldn't think so. You're extremely compatible. Okay. Yeah, I'll just let you rest here. Typically with reboots, I allow my patients to snap here and essentially let their systems and body readjust to the new setting. Alright, it is back to its... Actually, I'm lying. It's not in its safe mode or standard or anything. I made precautionary adjustments so that it can run as efficiently as possible while consuming and generating as little heat as possible. So that once you wake up later, then I can put it back to... Alright, so when you get up later, I can readjust it back to its more standard setting alongside with the other micro adjustments I did for performance. Okay. You should sit